Well, it's the evening and it's in the fall. And boy, is it windy outside. Last night was so windy. I had my awning out in my RV and it was just flip-flopping like crazy because of the wind. And these are not regular winds. They're not natural. I can tell. They're like gale force winds. It's scary. Anyways, I went to work today. Today's Sunday. I think it's October 29th. That's what it is. So I have some snapshots on my computer, and I've been wanting to read them. And I also want to get back to reading that trust law from Carlton Weiss. But let's see what I can do here. I want to start to, oh, by the way, I just want to let you know, I'm just a regular person like you, and I have a lot of books that I haven't read. I kind of buy them, look through them, get bored with them, fall asleep, and I think it's really important for us to read. When I was a little girl, I remember having the neighborhood kids come over to the garage, and I'd get a little whiteboard and pretend like I was the teacher, and I'm going to teach them how to do math and writing and all that fun stuff. So I might have the gift of teaching or just reading, who knows. But I figured I would go ahead and read the things that I need to read. And if you are like some people who are just listening, driving, or just sleeping, or just laying down, or just bored, and you want to be read to, then I can do that. So I might not understand everything I'm reading, but the more I read and the more I hear it, faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of Yahuwah, but we also can be meditating or thinking about, ruminating, or listening to other things too, like you listen to a song and you are ruminating upon those words, right? So maybe we can write our own songs. I write my own songs. And maybe some of us can write songs about what we're learning. Okay? So anyways, I want to share the screen. And I took this snapshot when I was in a class on Sunday, last Sunday. And I, can't remember where it came from. So I think if I read it, I might figure out what document this came from. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Could be Truth in Lending Act. I don't know. I'm just going to start with the top. Let's see. Any increment, taxes, interest, penalties that may become payable. Oh, come on. By the administrative agent or any lender as a result of any such. Oh, let's see if I can get up there. Did I really? Oh, no, I can't. Any such something. In the case of 1 and 2, or any such direct imposition in the case of 3. All right, I couldn't see what I was reading there. D, each lender, this could be something about Truth in Lending? The Truth in Lending Act? I don't know. Let me see. Each lender shall indemnify the administrative agent for the full amount of any taxes, levies, imposts, duties, charges, fees, deductions, withholdings, or similar charges. I'm going to move this over to the side. Imposed by any governmental authority that are attributable to such lender and that are payable or paid by the administrative agent, together with all interest, penalties, reasonable costs, and expenses arising therefrom or with respect thereto as determined by the administrative agent in good faith. A certificate as to the amount of such payment or liability delivered to any lender by the administrative agent shall be conclusive, absent manifest error. E, each lender that is a United States person, as defined in section 7701, A30 of the code, that would be the Title 26, the IRS code, shall deliver to the borrower and the administrative agent on or before the date on which it becomes a party to this agreement. Oh, I happen to think that the word agreement is a unilateral term, meaning, you know, it's only one sided. So this could possibly be, could this be from Truth in Lending? I don't know. Let's keep reading. 2 properly completed and duly signed copies of U.S. Internal Revenue Service Form W-9 or any successor form, certifying that such lender is exempt from U.S. federal withholding tax. This could come from the IRS. Each lender or transferee that is not a United States person, as defined in section 7701A30 of the code, a non-U.S. lender, shall deliver to the borrower and the administrative agent, or in the case of a participant, to the lender from which the related participation shall have been purchased. I, 2 copies of the U.S. Internal Revenue Service Form W-8-BEN or W-8-BEN-E, like entity, certifying as to entitlement to treaty benefits. Form W-8-ECI, claiming exemption from withholding because the income is effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business. Hey, what's that? Claiming exemption from withholding? Ooh, excuse me. It's windy out here, folks. That means a lot of dust. Because the income is effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business, or Form W-8 IMY, together with any applicable underlying internal revenue service forms as applicable. This is important for me to read because when you have a YouTube channel, they're going to ask you, how are you setting up your business? And you got to have all these things. If you don't have, like, they're going to say, well, tell us what country you're from and tell us the treaty benefits. You're not going to get very far. You know, if you put the social security number in your name to go straight to your bank account, they're going to take 30% off. So if you're trying to go through your trust bank account, you're going to have to pick one of these. But they don't say the land of United States of America. They're only going to say United States or other places, right? So I'm trying to figure out how I can set up my pay thing here with YouTube. I don't know which one. I don't know. There's so many different things. But this is page 35 of a particular document that I don't know what it is yet, because I just took a snapshot of this because I really liked this blued out area where it said each lender that is a United States person. And then over here, it's each lender or transferee that is not a United States person. And it's defined in the same definitions section 7701 of that Title 26, which is the IRS code. Maybe this is Title 26. I don't know. Maybe it is. Of a non-U.S. lender shall deliver to the borrower and the administrative agent, or in the case of a participant, to the lender from which the related participation shall have been purchased, 2 copies of the U.S. Internal Revenue Service Form W-8 Ben E, which that would be entity, certifying as to entitlement to treaty benefits. Like I said, you're going to have to name the country of your treaty benefits when you want to get, set up for like your YouTube channel or something. Form W-8 ECI claiming exemption from withholding, yeah, because the income is effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business. I don't know. Or Form W-8-IMY together with any applicable underlying Internal Revenue Service forms as applicable to, in the case of a non-U.S. lender, that would be me, claiming exemption from U.S. federal withholding tax under Section 871H or 881C of the Code with respect to payments of portfolio interest. A statement substantially in the form of Exhibit B and the applicable Internal Revenue Service Form W-8 or any subsequent versions thereof or successors thereto properly completed and duly executed by such non-U.S. Because did you know that U.S. means Washington, D.C.? If you don't live there or work there, you're not a U.S. citizen either. Did you know that? You could be an American or a state national, but most of us are not U.S. citizens. That's that 14th Amendment citizen that they made after Lincoln in order to emancipate the slaves, which emancipation means from one slave owner to another. So we don't want to claim to be the 14th Amendment because that wasn't even ratified, the 14th Amendment. You have to have enough people to vote that through. Anyways, let's see, what do we have here? By such non-U.S. lender, which I guess I'm lending my name and the social security number of that U.S. person. Yeah, 2 hats. That's what I feel like I'm wearing, 2 different hats. Lender claiming complete exemption. I claim complete exemption from or a reduced rate of U.S. federal withholding tax on payments under this agreement. So the word agreement again. Oh, ugh, there's a hair in my mouth. I have my little fan on. And there's a little hair there. Whoa, it's loose. Okay, good. It's tickling me. Under this agreement, so this is an agreement. So this looks like it's contract law. This is some kind of a contract. I wonder if this has got to do with contract law. I don't know. I still don't know what this is yet. Under this agreement, remember, agreement means unilateral, unless you agree. But hey, if they're not giving you full disclosure, how can you agree? How to make a cognitive decision? And how can you make any type of, how could you have any capacity if they're not giving you the whole truth? So this could be truth in lending. I don't know. Let me see. And other loan documents. Or 3, any other form prescribed. This kind of reminds me of Name That Song. Like I'm singing you the whole song, but you have to tell me what the title is. I don't even know what I'm reading. I hate it when I take a snapshot and I don't get the top part and I don't know what I'm reading. Anyways, maybe you guys know what this is. Any other form prescribed by applicable requirements of U.S. federal income tax law as a basis for claiming exemption from or a reduction in U.S. federal withholding tax. Duly completed together with such supplementary documentation as may be prescribed. Is this banking law? Is this under Title 12? Is this banking? Maybe, I don't know. I think it could be the Banking Act, the Federal Reserve. Is this the Federal Reserve Act? I don't know. I think it might be the Federal Reserve Act. May be prescribed by applicable requirements of law to permit the borrower and the administrative agent. Who's the borrower? The banks. Title 12. What was that, 1431? All banks are borrowers. And the administrative agent. Are we the administrative agent? To determine the withholding or deduction required to be made. Such forms, certificates, and statements shall be delivered by each lender. Is there a lending act? Could this be under banks and banking, Title 12? I don't know. On or before the date it becomes a party to this agreement. Contract law. Could this be contract law? I don't know. Or in the case of any participant. On or before the date such participant purchases the related participation, and from time to time thereafter, upon the request of the borrower or the administrative agent. In addition, each lender shall deliver such forms. This sounds like instructions for bank. So could this be the Banking Act? Is there such thing as that? Is this under Title 12? Maybe, I don't know. In addition, each lender shall deliver such forms, certificates. This sounds like something a bank would be reading, you know, that's what I'm thinking it is. Each lender shall deliver such forms, certificates, and statements promptly upon the obsolescence or invalidity of any form previously delivered by such lender, or upon the reasonable request by the borrower or the administrative agent. Each lender shall promptly notify the borrower and the administrative agent at any time it determines that it is no longer in a position to provide any previously delivered form, certificate, or statement to the borrower, or any other form, statement, or certification adopted by the U.S. taxing authorities for such purpose. Each lender agrees to promptly notify the administrative agent and borrower if any fact set forth in any such form, certificate, or statement ceases to be true and correct, and why take such steps and may be reasonably necessary to avoid any applicable requirements of law that borrower make any deduction or withholding for taxes from amounts payable to the lender under this agreement, notwithstanding any other provision of this paragraph. a non-U.S. lender shall not be required to deliver any form pursuant to this paragraph after the date it becomes a party to this agreement, or in the case of any participant, after the date such participant purchases the related participation that such non-U.S. lender is not legally able to deliver, notwithstanding any other provision of this paragraph. The completion, execution, and submission of such documentation described in section 2.14E3, that's a clue. 2.14E, I'll have to Google that so I can know what I'm reading, shall not be required if in a lender's reasonable judgment such completion, execution, or submission would subject such lender to any material unreimbursed cost or expense, or would materially prejudice the legal or commercial position of such lender. If a payment made to a lender under any loan document would be subject to U.S. federal withholding tax imposed by FATCA. FATCA, I'm going to write that down, FATCA. Looks like federal something. If such lender were to fail to comply with the applicable reporting requirements of FATCA, including those contained in section 1471B or 1472B of the code. Okay, so this is a code as applicable. Such lender shall deliver to the borrower and the administrative agent at the time or times prescribed by law and at such time or times reasonably requested by the borrower or the administrative agent, such documentation prescribed by applicable law, including as prescribed by section 1471B 3C of the code. So this is a code. And such additional documentation reasonably requested by the borrower or the administrative agent as may be necessary for the borrower and the administrative agent to comply with their obligations under FATCA. We got to look this up, FATCA. And to determine that such lender has complied with such lender's obligations under FATCA, or to determine the amount to deduct and withhold from such payment. Like are you a withholding agent? Solely for purposes of the preceding sentence, FATCA shall include any amendments made to FATCA after the date of this agreement. For purposes of this section 214E, the term lender includes the administrative agent. This is page 36. All right, getting some clues here. If the administrative agent or any lender determines in its reasonable discretion that it has received a refund of any non-excluded taxes or other taxes as to which it has been indemnified by the borrower, or with respect to which the borrower has paid additional amounts pursuant to this section, this section is 2.14, it shall pay over such refund to the borrower. who's the borrower, but only to the extent of indemnity payments made or additional amounts paid by the borrower under the section 214 with respect to the non-excluded taxes or other taxes giving rise to such refund, net of all reasonable out-of-pocket expenses of such lender incurred in obtaining such refund, and without interest other than the interest paid by the relevant governmental authority. Who pays the interest? The banks. With respect to such refund, provided that the borrower, upon the request of such lender, who's the borrower? The banks. Who's the lender? The U.S. citizen. Who's a U.S. citizen? Not us. But we might be the administrative agent. So this is a game right here. Who's who? And what is this? What is this document? We're going to keep reading until we get to the end of the page. And then we're going to Google this to see what this is. Okay. Okay, so net of all reasonable out-of-pocket expenses of such lender incurred in obtaining such refund and without interest other than any interest paid by the relevant governmental authority with respect to such refund, provided that the borrower, upon the request of such lender, agrees to repay the amount paid over to the borrower. Is this truth in lending? What is this? Plus any penalties, interest, or other charges imposed by the relevant governmental authority. To such lender, is this banks and banking? I don't know. What do you guys think this is? I don't know. To such lender, in the event such lender is required to repay such refund. Let me read that again. To such lender, in the event such lender is required to repay such refund to such governmental authority. This paragraph shall not be construed to require any lender to make available its tax returns or any other information relating to its taxes which it deems confidential. Is this trust law? To the borrower or any other person. For purposes of this section 2.14, the term lender includes the issuing lenders. 215, indemnity. The borrower agrees to indemnify each lender and to hold each lender harmless from any loss or expense which such lender may sustain or incur as a consequence of a default by the borrower in making a borrowing of term benchmark loans or in the conversion into a continuation of term benchmark loans after the borrower has given a notice requesting or accepting the same. Oh, have you heard that before? Accepting the same in accordance with the provisions of this agreement. B, default by the borrower in making any prepayment of term benchmark loans after the borrower has given a notice thereof, including following any revocation of such notice permitted hereunder, in accordance with the provision of this agreement. Or C, the making of a prepayment of term benchmark loans on a day which is not the last day of an interest period with respect thereto. Such indemnification may include an amount equal to the excess, if applicable, of I, the amount of interest which would have accrued on the amount so prepaid or not so borrowed, converted or continued for the period from the date of such prepayment or of such failure to borrow, convert or continue to, but excluding the last day of the relevant interest period or proposed interest period, at the applicable rate of interest for such loans provided for herein, excluding, however, the applicable margin. This sounds like a contract. Over to the amount of interest as reasonably determined by such lender, which would have accrued to such lender on such amount by placing such amount on deposit for a comparable period with leading banks in the interbank market. A certificate of such lender setting forth the basis for determining such amount or amounts necessary to compensate such lender shall be forwarded to the borrower through the administrative agent and shall be conclusively presumed to be correct, save for, and I don't have the rest of it. I don't know what this is. I know it's boring and it's a lot of legalese. I see there's an exhibit B there. Okay. U.S. federal withholding tax. Okay, what were the, so pursuant to the section 214. How am I going to know? So that's page 35, 36, 37. What's FATCA? Let's look up what FATCA is, okay? Because I don't know what FATCA is. Let me see. I guess I'm gonna have to share a screen. Okay. Let me see. I don't know. How do we do this? File, open? I don't know what it is. No, cancel. Okay. All right. No, I don't know what it is. Let me just, okay. I'm gonna have to somehow, yikes. I don't know. Okay, this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to go on here. What is FATCA? I don't know what FATCA is. Let's see what FATCA is. I don't know what FATCA is. The Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act? Is that what it is? Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act. Summary of FATCA reporting for U.S. taxpayers. Is that what that is? Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act? Is that what this is? Through the irs.gov. Those were pages 36, 37. Let me see how many pages it has. All right, wait. Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act. The Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act, FATCA, which was passed as part of the HIRE Act, generally requires that foreign financial institutions and certain other non-financial foreign entities report on the foreign assets held by their U.S. account holders or be subject to withholding on withholdable payments. The HIRE Act also contain legislation requiring U.S. persons to report, depending on the value of their foreign financial accounts and foreign assets. Financial institution registration, international data exchange, enroll, FATCA information for individuals, summary of FATCA reporting for U.S. individual taxpayers. Oh, I don't know what this is. FATCA for institution. What? FATCA for what? F-bar. Ooh, I've heard about that before. What is this thing? Foreign account? It's from the IRS. Let me just search and down. I'm looking for the pages. 36. Okay, what does it do? A monthly published list of financial institutions registered, accepted, and issued. What does it do? It can download the entire list of financial institutions or search for a particular one by its legal name. How do I access it? Search and download. Let's just pick it. Foreign Account Tax Complaint Act. Maybe I want to go that one instead. Okay, what? Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act. How do I do it? Financial institutions can use the FATCA registration system. Register or log in. No. Enroll. No, I don't want to do that. FATCA information for individuals. Let me just click on that and see what that is. Okay, so under FATCA, certain U.S. taxpayers holding financial assets outside the United States must report those assets to the IRS, generally using Form 8939, Statement of Specified Foreign Financial Assets. The aggregate value of these assets must exceed $50,000 to be reportable. Hello? In general, but in some cases, the threshold may be higher. So Form 8939 must be attached to the taxpayer's annual tax return. So a taxpayer is a U.S. citizen, and that person would be using a 1040. So that's not going to happen over here. Let me see. Oh, hey, look at this. You may also have to file FinCEN Form 114, report a foreign bank and financial accounts, the F-bar. I've heard about those. This comparison table will help you figure out whether you need to file Form 8939, the F-bar, or both. You should review the instructions for Form 8939 to determine if an exception to the reporting requirement applies. Failure to report foreign financial assets on Form 8939 may result in a penalty of $10,000 and a penalty up to $50,000 for continued failure after IRS notification. Further, underpayments of tax attributable to non-disclosed foreign financial assets will be subject to an additional substantial understatement penalty of 40%. Criminal penalties may also apply. See frequently asked questions FAQ for Form 8939 for information on real estate, foreign assets held in U.S.-based financial accounts, foreign pensions valuing certain assets, and more. Alert. The reporting requirement for Form 8939 is separate from the reporting requirement for the FinCEN Form 114. Report a foreign bank and financial accounts, F-bar, formerly TDF 90 through 22.1. An individual may have to file both forms and separate penalties, and separate penalties may apply. for failure to file each form. Information on filing a delinquent form 114 can be found at delinquent FBAR submission procedures. See the comparison of filing requirements for further information. Third-party reporting. Foreign financial institutions may provide to the IRS third-party information reporting about financial accounts, including the identity and certain financial information associated with the account, which they maintain offshore on behalf of U.S. individual account holders. Well, okay, the way this makes it look is that people are getting tons of money offshore off of the land. That's what it looks like to me. Third-party report, foreign financial institutions, application to domestic entities. The IRS issued regulations that require a domestic entity to file Form 8939 if the entity is formed or used to hold specific foreign financial assets and the total asset value exceeds the appropriate reporting threshold. This reporting requirement applies to tax years beginning after December 31st, 2015. Okay. Let me see. Summary of FATCA reporting for U.S. taxpayers. Let's see, what is this 8939? Statement of specific foreign financial assets. Well, let's look at that form for a second. 8938. All right, statement of specified foreign financial assets. Foreign deposit and custodial account summary. There is the TIN. That means it's not for an individual. This is the taxpayer identification number. So that's an entity. You know, because whatever you decide, however you decide to set up your particular business or trust or whatever, you're going to have to know that if you go with a foreign thing or something, they're going to have you do this kind of thing. You probably got to get that FIN number and that other FBAR number, and this is a lot of paperwork. So if you're going to have a YouTube channel, you're going to have to figure out if you want to do commercial something, which way are you going to go? Are you going to go as an individual? Are you going to go as a trust? Are you going to be foreign or domestic? I guess you got to know all this stuff. So, are you wanting to claim as a non-US lender? Which kind of thing are you going to go with? A W-8 Ben? That's what my trust has, a W-8 Ben. But the thing is that with the W-8 Ben, you have to have the treaty certifying as to entitlement to treaty benefits. So when you go like on YouTube or something, they're not going to tell you America. They're going to say US or all those other countries. So that's kind of what I think. I'm just reading this so I can know what the heck this is, but I don't know. I'm going to look up, where was it? All right, hang on. Okay, I'm going to go with, let me try this thing. I'm going to go with 1471B. And then I'm going to say 3. And then C. Let's see what pulls this up, because I don't really know what I'm reading from. Oh, okay. It might be the IRS code 26. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, identification of payee. It could be this one. Mm-hmm. I think this is it. Yeah. What is deemed compliant financial? Oh, I don't know which one to go with. 1471B 3C. I'm going to go with this. This is Title 26 of the IRS Code. Let me see. Let's see. Is it opening up? Here we go. 26 U.S. Code 1471, withholdable payments to foreign financial institution. B, reporting requirements. And what was it? 3C. Let me scooch down. Ah, to 3. Where is it? 3, where are you? There it is. 3, here we go. Election to be withheld upon rather than withhold on payments to recalcitrant account holders and non-participating foreign financial institutions in the case of a foreign financial institution which meets the requirements of this subsection and such other requirements as the Secretary may provide and which elects the application of this paragraph. We're looking for C. The agreement described in paragraph 1. Okay, so maybe that's what we were looking at. Requires such institution to notify the withholding agent with respect to each such payment of the institution's election under this paragraph and such other information as may be necessary for the withholding agent to determine the appropriate amount to deduct and withhold from such payment and include a waiver of any right under any treaty of the United States with respect to any amount deducted and withheld pursuant. Am I sharing the screen? I don't know. Am I? I'm not sharing the screen. All right, let me share the screen. I'm sorry. Am I sharing? Yeah, I think I'm sharing the screen. This is what I was reading. Include a waiver of any right under any treaty. Yeah, that's the thing. We got to know what the treaty is for the country. For any treaty of the United States. Okay, let me move this out of the way. With respect to any amount deducted and withheld pursuant to an election under this paragraph, to the extent provided by the Secretary, the election under this paragraph may be made with respect to certain classes or types of accounts of the foreign financial institution. In general, the agreement described in subsection B shall require the foreign financial institution to report the following with respect to each United States account maintained by such institution: the account number, the account balance or value, determined at such time, except to the extent provided by the Secretary, the gross receipts and gross withdrawals or payments from the account determined for such period and in such manner as the Secretary may provide. Okay, what exactly did this is from lawcornell.edu. So this is the 26 U.S. code has got to do with the IRS. And so apparently that's where it came from. I don't know. It had page 36. I don't see that there's 36 pages here. That thing I was reading is referring to this, but I still do not know what that was. So now I'm going to look up 2.14E. So I guess this is letting us know if you're going to take a snapshot of something like a video or a class or whatever, you better know what it is that you're reading. And I could definitely go back and listen to the audio to see what was being read. Huh. Because I have no idea what it was that I was just reading. It's got to be something like this, 28 CFR. Subsequent proceeding. Let me see. Let me just go down here. It's got to be that 28 CFR. Let me just look at that. You know, subsequent proceedings. What we're looking for, we're trying to look for the page 35 or something. What was it, 36? No. I don't think this is going to do that. Hey, retard or rescind. Hey, rescind a presumptive parole date. Whoa, scary. What does this mean? Presumptive date falls within 9 months. Regional Commission. Yeah, so this lets us know that it's really important. If you're going to take a snapshot, I'm going to look up Title 12, Banks and Banking. Let's go there, 1431. Because it could be this federal regulations. It could be that. Powers and duties of the banks. It could be that. That's what I think it probably is. It could be that. I don't know. Let me see. Borrowing money, issuing bonds. Federal Home Loan Bank shall have power, subject to rules and regulations prescribed by the director to borrow. Boom. That's what this is probably. I think that's what this was. To borrow and give security, therefore, and pay interest. Hey, thereon. To issue debentures, bonds, or other obligations upon such terms and conditions as the director may approve, and to do all things necessary for carrying out the provision of this chapter and all things incident thereto. Okay, I have a feeling that that would have been from 12 USC 1431, talking about banks and banking and how banks are the borrowers. We saw that right there. And they're the ones that pay interest, right? Acceptance of deposits. Hey. Under E, acceptance of deposits, restrictions on transaction of banking business, collection and settlement of checks, drafts, etc., charges, rules, and regulations. Each Federal Home Loan Bank shall have power to accept deposits made by members of such bank or by any other Federal Home Loan Bank or other instrumentality of the United States upon such terms and conditions as the director may prescribe, but no Federal Home Loan Bank shall transact any banking or other business not incidental to activities authorized by this chapter. Okay, so if this is a chapter, then we might find that there's a lot of pages in this chapter. I'm just gonna scroll really fast. Treasury purchases of banks' obligations. Hey, what's that? I, Treasury purchase of banks' obligations, exercise of authority. The Secretary of the Treasury is authorized in his discretion to purchase any obligations, hey, issued pursuant to this section, as heretofore, now and hereafter, in force and for such purpose, the Secretary of the Treasury is authorized to use as a public debt transaction the proceeds of the sale of any securities hereafter issued under Chapter 31 of Title 31. That might be something to read. Write that down. Chapter 31, Title 31. As now or hereafter in force and the purposes for which securities may be issued under Chapter 31 of Title 31. So would that be Title 31:31? I think so. As now or hereafter in force are extended to include such purchases. The Secretary of the Treasury may at any time sell upon such terms and conditions and at such price or prices as he shall determine any of the obligations acquired by him. Oh, acquisitions, you mean? Under this subsection, all redemptions, purchases, and sales by the Secretary of the Treasury of such obligations under this subsection shall be treated as public debt transactions of the United States. Whoa. The Secretary of the Treasury shall not at any time purchase any obligations under this paragraph if such purchase would increase the aggregate principal amount of his then outstanding holdings of such obligations under this paragraph to an amount greater than, what is that, $4 million? That's 1,000. That's 100,000. Oh, that's 4 billion. Whoa. Each purchase of obligations by the Secretary of the Treasury under this subsection shall be upon terms and conditions as shall be determined by the Secretary of the Treasury and shall bear such rate of interest as may be determined by the Secretary of Treasury, taking into consideration the current average market yield for the month preceding the month of such purchase on outstanding marketable obligations of the United States. In addition to obligations authorized to be purchased by the preceding paragraph, the Secretary of the Treasury is authorized to purchase any obligations issued pursuant to this section in the amounts not to exceed to, what is this? That's 1,000, 100,000, million. Is that 2 billion? I think so. The authority provided in this paragraph shall expire August 10, 1975. Huh? What are you talking about? Okay, so... Hey, audits. And I skipped some, but let me see. Audits. Notwithstanding the provision of Section 9105A1B2 of Title 31, audits by the Government Accountability Office of the financial transactions of a federal home loan bank shall not be limited to periods during which government capital has been invested therein. The provisions of sections 9107C2 and 9108D1 of Title 31 shall not apply to any federal home loan bank. What does that mean? We can't audit a federal home loan bank? Bank loans to deposit insurance fund. Hey. What rabbit hole am I going into here? I am not seeing any pages down here. Like it's not telling me any pages. I was looking for that page 35, 36. Man, I'm going to have to go back and look at that seminar where I got that page from. Because I still do not know where it came from, and I need to know where it came from. I'm not seeing it. Sale of obligations. The Secretary of the Treasury may at any time, subject to the terms of the security, or otherwise upon terms and conditions at any price, says determined by the Secretary, sell any obligation acquired by the Secretary under this subsection. Oh, did I lose it? Oh, well, that was totally boring. What can I say? I'm ready to go to bed now. So I am not finding any page numbers. Darn it. This is Title 12, right? Is that what this is? Banks and banking? Let me see. Yeah. It's 1431. We looked at the FATCA thing. That was boring. I still don't understand what I read. 1471 B3C. I was looking for page 36. I have no idea what it was that I was reading. What other things did we look at? Let's see. Sustakv Trust. Banks and banking. Well, we looked at Title 26, which was definitions of the IRS. Federal Reserve Act. Let me just see what that is. Federal Reserve Act. Could be that. It could be that. Okay. Yeah, it could be that. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Let me just click on it. What is it? If it has page 36, then that would be good because, oh, look at all these different sections. Okay. Oh, Federal Reserve Districts. Ooh, wow. Monetary Policy Branch. Federal Reserve Banks. Okay. Let's just scroll the way down and see if they have the different sections here. Powers of Federal Reserve Banks. Could it have been the, hey, Section 24, Real Estate Loans. Oh. Reservation of right to amend. Hey. That sounds good. Tax on national bank, reduction of capital of national banks, civil money penalty. Let's look at that. Yeah. Oh, it could have been this. Civil money penalty. I remember going over this. Yeah, first tier. Any member bank which at any institution affiliated party within the meaning of Section 3U of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act with respect to such member bank who violates any provision of Section 2223A or 23B, which we'll have to look at. Yeah. Or any regulation issued pursuant thereto shall forfeit and pay a civil penalty of not more than $5,000 for each day during which such violation continues. 12 U.S.C. 504. Whew. That would be something to look up. Second tier, notwithstanding subsection any member bank which any institution affiliated party within the meaning of Section 3U of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act. Hey, you gotta look at that Federal Deposit Insurance Act. With respect to such member bank who commits any violation described in subsection A, over here, recklessly engages in any unsafe and unsound practice in conducting the affairs of such member bank, or breaches, any fiduciary duty. I think that would be right there. Which violation, practice, or breach is part of a pattern of misconduct? Yeah. Causes or like, okay, this is a good one to, I have to like bookmark this one. Bookmark this, baby. Add the bookmark. And we're going to put it as a favorite because this is civil money penalty. If we have to sue, we're going to have to, you know, because, hey, look at the third tier. What's this? Federal Deposit Insurance Act. Knowingly commits any violation described in subsection A, way up there. Engages in any unsafe, unsound, breaches of any fiduciary duty, said that. Knowingly or recklessly causes a substantial loss to such credit union, or substantial pecuniary gain, or other benefit to such party by reason of such violation, practice, or breach. Yeah, well, there's a breach, that's for sure. Shall forfeit and pay a civil penalty in the amount not to exceed the applicable maximum amount determined under subsection D for each day during which such violation, practice, or breach continues. 12 U.S.C. 504D. Maximum amounts of penalties for any violation described in subsection C, that third tier. The maximum daily amount of any civil penalty which may be assessed pursuant to subsection, for any violation, practice, or breach described in subsection is 1. In the case of any person other than the member bank, an amount not to exceed, is that $1 million? Yeah, 1 million. And in the case of a member bank, an amount not to exceed the lesser of 1 million. Is that 1 million? Yeah, that's 1,000, 100,000, 1 million, or B, 1% of the total assets of such member bank. What? 1% of the total assets of such member bank? Ooh, that's a lot of money. 12 U.S.C. 504. Oh, assessment, etc. Any penalty imposed under subsection A, B, or C shall be assessed and collected. Oh, in the case of a national bank by the comptroller of the currency. Comptroller of the currency. Ooh, in the case of a state member bank by the board. A national bank by the comptroller of the currency. And in the case of a state member bank by the board. This is a Federal Deposit Insurance Act hearing disbursement by, whoa, this is a lot of mullahs. I'm not seeing page 36 or nothing. Well, let me go with this real estate loan thing, because, you know, who's the one that loans the money is what I want to know. Any national banking association may make, arrange, purchase, or sell loans, or extensions of credit secured by liens on interest in real estate, subject to such terms, conditions, and limitations as may be prescribed by the comptroller of the currency by order, rule, or regulation. Notes representing loans. That would be a note. Could that be an application? Or is a note a contract? I don't know. I think a note is an application. Notes representing loans made under this section to finance the construction, of residential or farm buildings and having maturities not to exceed 9 months shall be eligible for discount as commercial paper within the terms of the second paragraph, section 13 of the Federal Reserve Act. If accompanied by a valid and binding agreement, okay. Gotta have that, what's it called? Disguised loan paper to advance the full amount of the loan upon the completion of the building entered into by an individual, partnership, association, or corporation acceptable to the discounting bank. That's when you want to do construction loan. It's only 9 months? Oh, okay. Wow, that's wild. All right, so what are we looking at? Short title and definitions. Let's look up short title and definitions. What is this? The Federal Reserve Act. Hey, right here. Definition of bank. Wherever the word bank is used in this act, the word shall be held to include state bank, banking association, and trust company, except where national banks or Federal Reserve banks are specifically referred to. For the purpose of this act, a state bank includes Any bank which is operating under the code of law for the District of Columbia. That's kind of interesting. Definitions of other terms. The terms national bank and National Banking Association used in this act shall be held to be synonymous and interchangeable. So National Bank, like Wells Fargo, NA is National Association. The term member bank shall be held to mean any national bank, like Wells Fargo. State bank or trust company which has become a member of one of the reserve banks created by this act. The term board shall be held to mean Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. The term district shall be held to mean Federal Reserve District. The term reserve bank shall be held to mean Federal Reserve Bank. The term the continental United States means the state of the United States and the District of Columbia. Definitions relating to Treasury bonds. The term bonds and notes of the United States, bonds and notes of the government of the United States, and bonds or notes of the United States used in this act shall be held to include certificates of indebtedness and Treasury bills issued under Section 3104 of Title 31. Maybe we should go to Title 31. Let's do it. Title 31. Let's just do it. And I'm getting ready to go to bed. This is boring stuff. Title 31. What was it? Title 31, 3104. Oh, wait. That's the Code of Federal Regulations. Remember 3104. All right, 3104, just in case I get lost. What part 10 of Title 31 was the Code of Federal Regulations? Okay, Title CFR, Money and Finance Treasury. Title 31. The Code of Federal Regulations, Title 31, contains the codified United States federal laws and regulations that are in effect as of the date of the publication pertaining to money and finance functions. The Department of the Treasury, including foreign assets control and financial crimes and investment security. CFR Title 31, Money and Finance. Electronic Code of Federal Regulations. Gov, Info Title 31. CFR. Title 31 of the Code of Federal Regulations. Code of Federal Regulations. Depositories and financial agents. Oh. Let me look up that one. 31202. Yeah, you can just go down this rabbit hole and look at all this stuff, and there's a lot to read. 31 CFR 202. Depositories and financial agents of the federal government. Scope of regulations, designations, authorization, agreement of deposit, previously designated depositories, collateral security, maintenance of balance with authorizations. Well, let me just leave. What is the scope of regulations? What is that? The regulations in this part govern the designation of depositories and financial agents of the federal government and their authorization to accept deposits of public money and to perform other services as may be required of them. Public money includes, but is not limited to, revenue and funds of the United States, and any funds, the deposit of which is subject to the control or regulation of the United States or any of its officers, agents, or employees. The designation and authorization of Treasury tax and loan depositories for the receipt of deposits representing federal taxes are governed by the regulations in Part 203 of this chapter. Oh, Bureau of the Fiscal Service. Oh, general information. Let me look at the Bureau of Fiscal Service for a second. Title 31, Money and Finance. Ooh. Whoa, look at all this stuff. Whoa, withholding of District of Columbia, state, city, and county income or employment. Surety companies doing business with the United States. Oh, would that be our person as a surety? Let me click on it. Okay. Requirements, investment in capital assets, financial reports. Full penalty of the obligation regarded as liability, schedule single risk, paid up capital. Boy, this stuff is boring. Treasury initiated revocation proceeding. Let me look at that one. Revocation proceedings. Hey, 31. CFR 223.19. Treasury initiated revocation proceedings. So, Treasury initiated revocation proceedings. Whenever Treasury has reason to believe that a company is not complying with the requirements of 31 U.S.C. 9304, 9308, and other regulations under this part, including but not limited to failure to satisfy corporate and financial standards, Treasury shall A. Notify the company of the facts or conduct which indicate such non-compliance and provide the company an opportunity to respond. And B, revoke a company's certificate of authority after providing notice to the company if, number one, the company does not respond satisfactorily to Treasury's notification of non-compliance, or two, the company provided an opportunity to demonstrate or achieve compliance fails to do so. Well, that's interesting. What do you say? Well, I'm getting sleepy. This was boring stuff, but I'm just saying we got to read sometime. Payment of federal taxes in the Treasury Tax and Loan Program. Surety companies. Okay. Oh, that was a surety company one. Claims on account of Treasury checks. Issue of substitutes of lost, stolen, destroyed, mutilated, or defaced checks. Payment on account of awards of the Foreign Claims Settlement Commission. Ooh, that sounds good. Obtaining payments from judgment fund and under private relief bills. Hey, that might sound good. Federal Savings and Loan Association. There's so much stuff. Like Nancy Pelosi says, just pass it. We'll read it later. Hey, look at this. Offering of United States Savings Bonds, Series EE. Book entry Series EE bonds, miscellaneous provision, general information, maturities, redemption values, and investment yields. What is the maturity period? Okay. Oh. So, when you go in Treasury Direct and you look up the Series EE savings bond and you put your driver's license in there, you will find that your driver's license has money. Mine has like $26,000. And I was just wondering, how do we get that money? It's in our name. You know what I'm saying? It's probably right here what we've been needing to read. But I'm actually getting tired. Oh, wow. Yeah. Just in case, you ever needed to read that, that's what you got to do. But I'm tired. I don't really know that I found out what that document was. I'm going to have to listen to that seminar that I went to on Sunday and look to see what was being read, because I still don't know. But anyways, I'm getting really sleepy now, so I should sleep really nice tonight after my eyes being so tired after all that reading. Hopefully you'll go to sleep too after listening to that. Good night. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below, and share this video if you want to make someone go to sleep.